We all knew Shadow of War was going to contain loot crates, didn't we? There were some people who were even worried that the game would be balanced around those loot crates. Some even feared that the game might become a long, boring grind to make those loot crates seem a bit more appealing. And incidentally, this is going to be quite a long video, so if you're the kind of person who's intimidated by the size of a massive topic...
That's good enough, that'll do. Describing the size of your massive topic put you off then, like,
the massive pause, isn't it? Incidentally, this is going to be quite a long video, so if you're the kind of person who's intimidated by the size of a massive topic and you like to be a bit protective of your spare time, there should be a link to Patreon on your screens right now. You can skip to the end of the video, just pay a bit of money. You don't even have to watch the video. We've got hours and hours of YouTube content. You haven't got time to be watching it, have you? Skip it.
I'm just sad because I don't ever intimidate anyone with my size. Late last week, the review embargo for open world Orc Smasher Shadow of War lifted and reviews popped up all over the internet. The reception has been mostly positive with an 86 on Metacritic on PS4, and the majority of reviewers agreed it was an improvement on the original in almost every way. Critics have praised the improved Nemesis system, tighter combat, and the large-scale battles, with some critics even saying it's the best Lord of the Rings game ever made. Mike, on the other hand, thinks it's shite. You might have to elaborate on that, Mike.
It's not good.
It's harsh review, isn't it? Harsh.
It's shite. I got it early. It's shite.
But there was one major concern with the game, and surprise, surprise, it's the loot box system.
In their reviews for this game, Polygon and GameSpot were the two biggest outlets to express concern about the loot boxes and how it affects the end game content. You see, after finishing the main story in Shadow of War, players get access to a bit of end game content called Shadow Wars. Shadow Wars has players rotate between different fortresses which they have to defend from rival armies, but to get the game's apparent true ending and even the end credits, players have to finish Shadow Wars. And here comes the salt. To stand a chance against the rival armies, you need legendary orcs on your team, and legendary orcs are, as the name suggests, quite rare. The only way to obtain legendary orcs is to either grind out hours upon hours of side quests or pay a bit of real money for some loot boxes which will contain legendary orcs.
Speaking about the endgame in their review, Polygon said, when you run out of in-game money, you have two choices. Make a huge time investment by hunting down orcs in your game world and earning chests via vendetta missions, or spend real money to get the more powerful orcs you need now. But lock in progress through this mode, and again, towards the game's true ending, behind either spending more money or doing tons of tedious busy work feels at least greedy, if not predatory.
So, if you want to see the end of the game, you're either going to have to grind for hours or pony up a bit of cash for the privilege, and apparently the ending isn't even very good anyway. In GameSpot's review, the site said, more than once I felt like giving up on the quest, thinking I'd stumbled onto some optional side content that was clearly only made for obsessed completionists. But enduring on, I found that finishing every stage unlocks the final cutscene and credits. It did not feel worth it.
So it's something we touched on in our video when these loot crates were announced, that they might make the game more grindy to make these loot boxes more appealing.
That's the fear all the time, isn't it?
Polygon saying it's predatory. GameSpot saying it's not worth your time. It's
well
just
done.
So, I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of review sites who say, oh, it's not even worth mentioning microtransactions or loot crates in the review because it's not relevant to the game. But they obviously thought that it is such a negative impact that they have to mention it, and it has had a negative impact. These reviews are saying that it didn't even feel worth it. So they went through all that, got to the end, and it didn't feel like, it was worth their time. You haven't finished the game until you've seen the end credits. That is the ending, right? And if even that is held back, it's not like a Marvel-style post-credit scene. It's not any bonus content. It is the end of the game. It's just not a good state of affairs where you have to either force people to wade through a huge amount of content that isn't fun, or you have to pay a bit of money to make sure that you can be at least competitive. That's a horrible situation for a AAA game, and they're charging full price for it. And it's got all the collector's editions, all of that. There's the base version with the game, and there's all kinds of collector's editions and limited editions on top of that. So it's a full fat game. They've just got this horrendous free-to-play model on top of it right at the end as well.
It's a disgusting sales tactic, if you ask me. You give someone a problem, and then you offer them a solution by all you got to do is pay for it. The problem here is the game's really, really grindy, but you can skip that. All you got to do is give us some more money. It's bullshit. They need to stop doing it, and I don't know who condones this anymore. There's some of you out there who still do, and I don't know, I just feel disgusted. I feel dirty even thinking about spending money on these types of games. I'm 100% boycotting this game, like I did with, what else did I boycott? Battlefront 2.
Many other things.
Not so recently. Yeah, it's just like, I'll just start reeling them off. But this is so greedy. It's horrible. They've got no respect for you. They just want your money. off. But Shadow of War isn't the only game pulling off some loot box bullshit this week. The recent Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta also had loot boxes in it, and people are now scared that Battlefront 2 will be pay to win because the boxes actually affect gameplay. Battlefront 2's loot crates contain in-game items called star cards, and they have different effects like reducing the cooldown on an ability or buffing the damage of your primary weapon. Therefore, star cards give certain players an advantage over those who aren't using star cards, so this is, by definition, pay to win. Internet gaming critic Total Biscuit tweeted about it saying, "Anyway, Battlefront 2 is undeniably pay to win. And if we can't define that as pay to win, then there's nothing we can define that way at this point."
And let's not forget about Microsoft, who were recently the subject of community backlash when they put loot crates in Forza Motorsport 7. Forza's loot crates affect the rate of player progression by offering mod cards, which increase the credit payout at the end of each race. More credits means players can buy better cars and buy better mods for those cars. So again, these loot crates are giving people an advantage over those who choose not to buy them. Fans rallied against some of the changes Microsoft made specifically to the game's VIP pass, and it actually worked. Microsoft changed things back. But the loot crates are still in the game, available for purchase. Just like in most AAA games now, there are loot crates in Forza 7, Star Wars Battlefront, Shadow of War, we knew it was coming. Shadow of War is the worst one by miles that I've seen, and the way they promoted it, and they had like this stream where they were like showing how it worked.
Look how great this is. Look how awesome it is to give us extra money after you've even paid for the game. Bullshit.
Star Wars Battlefront, I mean, it was in the beta, like they just shoved it in your face right away. That was the biggest complaint that I had personally had, and Gareth as well. I mean, it's just so obnoxious. It's like straight away, you feel like you're playing a mobile game. You feel like you're playing flipping Simpsons Tapped Out or some shit, where it's just like, here's the game, do this thing. Oh, by the way, loot crates. It's just shoving the microtransactions in your face. That's what it's all about. That's what it feels like. Unfortunately, it's not only part of games these days, it's just ingrained into them, built into them.
And it feels like it's just growing. It's getting worse and worse. Every single one of these AAA games now. It's almost like we should be crediting games for not having them in these days.
Exactly.
Because you know COD's going to have it. Is Assassin's Creed going to have it?
Assassin's Creed.
Almost there you go.
By mistake.
I'm sure there are many other games coming up in the next few months that will have microtransactions, loot boxes, all that kind of bullshit. But one thing's for sure, we will not be condoning them. We will be letting you guys know straight away when we hear about them. And so stick around on this channel. I feel like they're no doing that. Let us know what you guys think about microtransactions and how common they're becoming in our games these days down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new around here. Another video for you to watch right about now. Support us on Patreon if you're awesome, and we'll see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.